Hello, sisters. I love my wife with my life, and I'm very afraid of losing her. But I have lied to her for years, from the beginning of our relationship till date, in fact. I feel very embarrassed about our relationship. I feel very embarrassed about what I'm going to say, but I think this is a time to do this. My name is Pakwesi, and I've been best friends with Peter for more than 30 years. Peter, who I refer to as my cousin, is like a son to my parents and vice versa. Our families know each other, and there's no malice in our friendship. When we were in the same room in the university, slept in the same room when we came home, and we did practically everything together. It was at the university that we realized the strong feelings we had for each other. Although I was a little bit attracted to women, Peter is only attracted to me. He will jokingly make comments like, Pakwesi is mine, and I will not share him with any other person. People laughed at his jokes because they thought he was just being funny, but I knew he was serious about it and meant every word he uttered. I met my wife when I was in level 400 at the University of Ghana, and oh my word, she blew me away with her beauty and intelligence. She's such a breath of fresh air, stunning, elegant, caring, lovely, and as well possessed a heart of gold. We not only got along immediately after our paths crossed, I never forgotten how close we became and how our beautiful journey started. I remember how Peter reacted and the anger he displays as I narrated how captivating meeting Trisha was. I assured him nothing can come between us and that we'll be fine. Sisters, the aura around Trisha is magical. Words cannot explain it. I fell in love with her, and that is something I haven't felt for any woman before or since. I found that feeling intriguing, and for a funny reason, I loved it. Fast forward, my attention drifted from Peter to Trisha, my wife. And although I didn't notice how much or how in love I was, I simply enjoyed it. I got intimate with Peter, but not as regularly as he used to be. He complained now and exhibited jealous traits around my wife, and I have a feeling she's suspecting me. Last weekend, Peter came to spend the weekend at ours, and my wife went to the market to shop for the house. Peter and I started getting touchy and all, forgetting the space we were in. I was entering the kitchen when he spanked my ass, and immediately my wife entered. I wasn't sure whether she saw that or not. Now I'm confused. Should I come clean and tell her about who I really am and who Peter truly is to me? Should I tell her I am honestly bisexual? What if I lose her in the process? I really love my wife. What will our families think? I need help, sisters. Advise me. Gang gang. He is in love with two people. One, his best friend of 30 years, and the other, his wife, who he cannot live without. Is it a good idea to confess to his wife that he's truly bisexual? Because at this point that he's getting to, he feels Peter might be able to, cause some ruckus in the house. I will start with Rosie. Your thoughts on this particular story?
I hardly get dumbfounded, really. This is
to say or not to say?
That's the question, because you see, once you see, certain secrets are not allowed in marriage, because whether you like it or not, it would always find a way of coming out.
Yes.
And if you say it yourself, sometimes you're able to manage the communication, you're able to manage the outcomes, you're able to have enough time to apologize, prep yourself, and have that difficult conversation, But when it has to come out, maybe seen, heard from somewhere or somebody, because in as much as you think you've been careful, don't think that certain people have not suspected. All it takes is for somebody to pass a comment, hey, this Pakwesi and Peter there, me cry, even thought they were doing something, so then it kind of like
it
triggers
everything into
certain little things that you see happening, and then the next thing you know, she even starts suspecting and starts looking for information, which she will find, because we women know how to find information when we want to find it.
Absolutely.
And then at that point, you might not be able to manage it. However, what I want to say is that when you want to come clean with her, then you must be ready to cut ties with Peter. Because it's enough to have a rival who is another woman. Everybody can understand why the person is your rival.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different ball game
when the rival is a
to
man.
have a rival who is a man that you've been You've been living with. He was probably his best man.
You
He was
assume
probably
it's your brother-in-law,
Charlie,
basically.
Peter was probably his best man.
Yeah.
And anytime he goes like, oh, Charlie, I'm going to see Peter in a bit. I'll be back.
Yeah,
like, okay, go. You don't even check up on him. You don't call, no ill feelings,
I know,
nothing.
yeah, Peter,
and then all of a sudden you're thinking, all these years, Parkway Peter, PMP, what's happening? You know, yeah, PKMP, what's happening?
PMP
You know,
magazine.
so you know, you just start thinking you're gonna start having. She's gonna start having flashbacks of all the moments, the little things that she saw that she didn't think were a big deal then will now be a big deal. So she's gonna ask herself, have I been sharing the bed with someone who is bisexual? Now the other question is gonna come. Who is the man and who is the woman in this bisexual thing? You know, then all these issues, if she's somebody who's been prone to, let's say, STDs or STIs, she's going to be asking herself questions. So in terms of infections, do I need to get checked? Do I need to do this?
Yeah.
Do I need to do that? You know, so many questions are going to go through her mind. And she's going to go through all this. However, you see, when marriage is based on true love, like he's explaining it, I'm thinking that whatever they shared was unique. So what I'll say is that maybe Parkway per se is not necessarily bisexual.
Yeah.
He is just emotionally attached and connected to Peter.
Okay.
However, Peter is gay. That's my thoughts.
Conclusion.
Yes, but Parkway is just that he's in love with the fact that he has somebody who understands him, who did everything with him. But when he met that right person,
His soul clicked with her.
his focus switched like that. He didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
He didn't have to deliberate on it. He didn't have to make a choice. He just
knew.
went. He just zoned into it. So I think that there's something there. Just maybe if he comes out with the truth enough, manages the communication properly. Pray
Just
on
maybe.
it. Pray on it. Just maybe.
She might not leave it.
Just maybe she might not leave you. However, it means that there is a price you continue to pay for the entire marriage. But when a woman catches you like this, that's like a forever trump card. But anything she wants, she needs to get it. And maybe that's a price you need to pay to have your woman.
Okay.
And most definitely, she wouldn't want Peter in your life.
All righty. Let me come to Marie Rose. Your thoughts about this story?
I've been smiling all through. I think, well, I know such things exist, but I haven't really
Encountered or heard it?
one.
Yeah. In
for
such
me
graphic
even
detail.
Yes, to even begin to think about it. But for me, I'll talk about the management of this whole thing. Yeah, because like Rosie said, there's so much at play here. You are going to talk about it to your wife. I think he has to.
Yeah.
He has to come clean. It's about time. 30 years, they might have children.
Yeah.
He has to come clean because the more he keeps it, the more it will hurt her when she finds out, which she will find out sometime. Whatever,
Not two
whether
ways about
in his lifetime or
In the next.
but whatever, she will find out. So the earlier he thinks about coming clean, the better. But he has to think about how to manage this situation. Like she rightly said, first thing is that he has to be prepared to, how do you call it, go for help, because he can't do it all by himself. He needs help to go through this.
Yeah.
And the two of them, because they have to be able to do it with a mediator. He can't just do it all by himself.
Absolutely.
This is a big thing. They will both need counseling to be able to get themselves going, even if the woman decides to stay on. If she decides not to stay on, it's another thing. They'll also need counseling for her to move because she'll feel violated.
Of course.
That you have lived with somebody you thought was a man or is supposed to be a man, and maybe he's something
had
else. And like you said, infections and all those kind of things, you begin to think which is psychologically unhealthy. So I think that they'll both need to, he has to psych himself that he has to be ready to go for counseling and then spill the beans.
Okay.
And then be ready to cut off Peter from his life.
Away.
Yes, he has to cut him off. He has to cut him off because he hasn't been a good friend,
Yeah.
a good brother, a
Yeah.
good cousin, whatever. I've heard a story my nephew once told me that in school, boys' school, he went to a boys' school, but there was a boy in the secondary school, high school in Ghana here. That boy had become gay as a result of cousins. I'm using this platform to caution parents that we should be very careful. His cousin came from London or somewhere for vacation, and then he had to share his room. The
Oh,
mother
my
made
goodness.
him share his room with this cousin, and the boy introduced him, and he became hooked. Came to school and started introducing other people's
Oh, my
children
goodness.
into it. We have to be careful about these relatives, and most of the time, people who violate us are people we know. They are not strangers.
Yeah.
A few strangers, but majority of them are our own people, our siblings, our uncles, our fathers, our family friends, people we are familiar with. So we don't get scared. They come in with a nice face, and then they come to hurt us. So please, he has to think about cutting ties. Even before he goes on to go and talk about it, he has to cut the ties with
Immediately.
Immediately.
Time to go.
Whatever that Peter feels, it is his business.
Aha,
He should go
time
and
out.
deal with himself. Once he was able to fall in love with his wife, then it means that he is there for her. He has to make sure that he does the right things.
Okay.
And then tell the woman, make sure you get other people in to help. If you are prepared to stay on with her, you don't want to lose her, he has to get other people to intervene to help her manage this effectively.
I love that.
And save the woman a heartbreak,
Okay.
the trauma,
Okay.
the pain that can, be etched on her mind and psychologically hurt her for a long time. It
Okay.
is a very serious situation.
And on
if
that
they
note-
have children, they have to think about how they would even manage this. Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you
I
so much.
completely agree. Now let me come to Olivia. Your thoughts about Peter, Pakwesi, Trisha, and the entire interesting mix.
See, there's a reason why God didn't create Peter and Pakwesi. And it was Adam and Eve. Because the beauty of that creation is for procreation. There's a reason why God created man and woman to be together. Now, I have a big problem with the fact that he now has accepted that he's bisexual. He was minding his own business, best friends, we're getting together, bonding. It was a relationship beyond understanding. He's a guy, one thing led to the other. Oh, we can kiss. Oh, it's not as bad, yada, 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 yada. But it's interesting how he also describes the first time he met his wife. He didn't think that he was open to that kind of
Yeah.
love. Because when you think about it, he didn't expect to feel like that. Or he didn't even think that he was prone to opening up to some
Yeah.
like that kind of love. So he was like, okay, this is nice. I think it's a good thing. I think this is what society deems of me. Why not, why shouldn't I just go for it? Let's get married. I think I love you. I think I'm good to go. But you see, that's what happens when you don't take your time to disconnect, or because he's accepting it that he's bisexual, but he's officially put a stamp on the fact that he's not bisexual,
Yeah.
but he's married.
Yeah.
So he hasn't cut ties with Peter. So technically he's like, okay, I'm getting
Here or
married, but I'm here or there. Because
Yeah.
he doesn't know what's up, because he's feeling for both people.
Yeah.
And therein lies the big problem. If you're serious about this, Masa, listen, once you're able to love your wife the way you say you do, once you're able to open up yourself for change, once you're able to open up yourself for that kind of love, it means that you can actually work on building something beautiful with your wife. But you cannot be successful because you constantly have Giza in your life. And Giza has the right, you are entertaining him in your matrimonial home.
And he has for 30
He's
years.
spanking your bum, and your wife came to see it. Like, at what point in time are you going to wake up and think, like, it's a headache even for married couples to know that their partners are cheating on them with the opposite sex. And now it's this. It reminds me of one of the stories that we did whereby this woman actually got pregnant. She married this guy, got pregnant, and came out. She left her keys or something at home. She came back
home.
she came home and she came to meet her husband in the act with, I think, his brother.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise,
Wow.
surprise. So are you waiting for your wife to get pregnant for her to be surprised by this act? Honestly, cut all ties with this guy. Decide what you want to do. As far as I'm concerned, you really need to pray on it. If it means that you ask God to deliver you, you really have to go on your knees, because
Preach
you
it.
see, these things here, they are sex is not just sex, and I always say it. Sex is an emotional act. It's a bonding session. It ties souls together, and you are intimately tying your your bum with this other guy. And you know, research has found, and even from a spiritual point of view, this whole intimacy, gayism, and all of that, you open up your soul to demons, all kinds of things I don't even want to get started on. And not only that, you are making your wife prone to STIs. Cut a long story short, Massa, listen. Disconnect from your guy. Tell him that it can't work. Tell your wife that this is what it is. Let her decide what she wants to do, whether she wants you back or she doesn't want you back. At the end of the day, it's your fault, and you have to live with the consequences. Now, then you decide. Now, I want to be solely, I don't want to be gay anymore. This is the path I'm taking. I'm praying on it. I'm working on it, and I'm actually going to find myself a nice wife and make a family and live life the right way, because I have the ability to.
Absolutely. Preach it. Yes, ma'am. In 30 seconds.
Technically,
Yes.
the guy should be your ex. It's like living with your present and your ex.
That's true.
Yeah, so get him out of the picture, period.
And on that note, we're going to go for another quick break. Of course, to our texter that sent in, you heard the sisters. Time for you to confess, cut Peter loose, and then hopefully your wife just may stay.